Welcome to Brain Vision.
As usual, we'll choose our east to be rightwards and north to be upwards. Now, the spelunker has started at some point, let's say here, and the first displacement was 180 meters westwards. And then the next displacement was 210 meters at an angle of 45 degrees east of south. The third displacement was 280 meters at an angle 30 degrees east of north. Now the question says, the fourth displacement brought her back to her original position, which means the fourth displacement must be something like this. Let's name our displacements S1, S2, S3, and S4. We need to find S4. That is our question. Now, let's start by writing out these displacements in their vector forms. Now, the first displacement is completely in the horizontal direction. As usual, we choose x-axis in the horizontal direction and y-axis in the vertical direction. And because it is completely horizontal and is in the negative x direction, S1 is minus 180 I cap. Now, S2 would be, because this angle is 45 degrees, its x-axis component would be its magnitude 210 multiplied by the sine of 45 degrees, whereas its y component would be its magnitude multiplied by the cos of 45 degrees. Hence, the x component would be 210 multiplied by sine 45. And the y component, obviously the x component would have I cap, and the y component would be 210 cos 45 j cap. But note that the y component is in the downward direction, which means it should be negative. Now, if you plug this into a calculator, you can see that it is equal to 148.5 I cap minus 148.5 j cap. Of course, the units are all in meters. Now, S3 is pretty simple. Now, because it makes an angle of 30 degrees with y-axis, it makes an angle of 60 degrees with the x-axis. This angle would be 60 degrees. Hence, we can simply write it as its magnitude 280 multiplied by cos 60 I cap plus its magnitude 280 multiplied by sine 60 j cap. As usual, this turns out to be 140 I cap, obviously because cos 60 is half, plus 242.5 j cap. Now we know that S1 plus S2 plus S3 plus S4 is equal to 0, which gives us S4 is minus of S1 bar plus S2 bar plus S3 bar, the three vectors. Now, by simply adding their x components, we can see that S1 bar plus S2 bar plus S3 bar is equal to minus 180 plus 148.5 plus 140 will give us plus 108.5 I cap. And the y components, when added, would be, it is 0 here, minus 148.5 and 242 plus 242.5 will give us 94 j cap. Hence, our S4 would be minus of this, which is minus 108.5 I cap plus 94 j cap. The units are in meters, of course. We could multiply this by meters. Hence, now To find the distance, we simply need to find the length of S4, which is simply the square root of the sums of the squares of the components. 94 squared plus 108.5 squared, which turns out to be 143.6 meters. Similarly, we can find the angle it makes with the x-axis, which is this angle, theta, because tan theta is the y component, S4y divided by S4x. Hence, our theta is tan inverse of 94 by 108.5, which turns out to be 40.9 degrees. But remember this 40.9 degrees is with the x-axis, but negative x-axis, which would be westward direction, and then it goes downward, which is south. Hence, this angle is 40.9 degrees south of west.